This is a continuation of propositional logic lecture, and we were looking at a non-commutative example. What about this? Boil the water and drink it. And then the commutation of that is drink the water and boil it. So clearly both the sentences are not the same. The and is not commutating. What's happening out here? So actually what it means is and then. And is actually and then. Boil the water and then drink it. There's a temporal aspect to it. First you do the left side, then you do the right side. It's not the same as drink the water and then boil it. So and then would be another operator which is not commutative. So let's look at the and operator. The and actually has many different words in English to describe it. It is raining, but I am at home. It means the same thing as it is raining and I am at home. It is raining, so I am at home. This one means basically the rain is cause of you staying at home. And what about I've got an umbrella, also I got a raincoat. That actually means and. That means you got both of them. So English is slightly different from logic and it has more connotations. The words and can have multiple meanings. Let's look at a comma operator. I have a pen, paper and pencil. This actually means I have a pen and I have a paper and I have a pencil. So the comma becomes an and operator in the first. In the second example, will you have tea, coffee or juice? This is same as will you have tea or will you have coffee or will you have juice? So in this case you can see the comma, this comma became an or. So from the English when you speak, you actually the context is clear whether the comma is and or. And also the comma is actually just a pause. You don't actually say comma in when you talk. You just pause, and the pause is understood as and or whatever you're supposed to mean in English. The people understand the meaning from the pause and the way you speak. And not is the negation. We already looked at that. So when you have attached not in front of a statement, it means the statement is false. And if you have put two nots, it means the statement is true. Not raining is same as it is raining. And the truth table for not is really simple. 0 becomes 1 and 1 becomes 0. And then there's another operator. So let's look at an example. Anu says, will you have tea or coffee? Biju says, yes please. As a logician would say yes. That means yes, I'll have tea or coffee. So what actually Anu is saying is that you can have tea or coffee, but not both. Not both? Yeah, you can say tea exclusive or coffee. That means choose exactly one of tea or coffee. Okay? And the truth table of XOR is A and B are not equal. If A is 1 or B is 1, then A XOR B is 1. Otherwise, it is 0. And what are properties of XOR? It is commutative. And A XOR true is not of A XOR false is A. So in this case XOR means not equal to. A XOR B is same as A not equal to B. So one is true, one is false for the whole statement to be true. Then we had operator if. If means implies the arrow, right, left to right arrow. Therefore, if connects two sentences. If it is raining, then the ground is wet. So in this case, the rain is the cause of the ground getting the ground wet. But the arrow doesn't imply the cause and effect. It's just saying two statements and they're connected by an arrow. So the ground is wet if it is raining. You can actually flip the thing if you put the if at the end, as they do it in the language Perl. They use if at the end of the statement instead of at the beginning, to put the more important statement in the beginning of the sentence, whatever you want to emphasize in English. And you can say x greater than 5 implies x is also greater than 4. You can compare if implies therefore in different sentences. It is raining, therefore the ground is wet. So the rain is pointing, implying the ground is wet. The ground is wet, therefore it is raining. In this case, the ground is wet, therefore it is raining. But in this case, they both are not equal. They are actually converse. We'll look at that later. The ground is wet because it is raining. The rain is causing the ground to be wet. It is raining because the ground is wet. And in this case, it doesn't imply. Number 2 and 4 are similar, 1 and 3 are similar. Let's look at the properties. We'll look at it again more when we look at converse and contrapositive. So the truth table of implies is, if A is true, then B has to be true. If A is true and B is false, then the whole statement is wrong, or false, or 0. Otherwise, If A is 0, you don't really care what B is. And if A is 1, then B better be 1. Okay. And what are the properties of arrow? First of all, A implies B is not the same as B implies A. So it's not commutative. And then if A is false, you don't really care what the conclusion is. If something is saying, if horses could fly, then anything could be implied. Then beggars could choose, you would say in English. And there are more operators. Let's look at the unless operator. It is sunny unless it is raining. So unless behaves like if not. It is sunny if it is not raining. Go home unless there is a class. Go home if there is no class. So English has many ways of saying the same thing, but it means unless. So you can make up your own examples to understand how to use unless operator and how to parse it. And what is contrapositive? When you say rain implies wet, it's the same as if it is not wet, then it's not raining. So when you put a not in front of them, the arrow switches direction. So rain implies wet implies not rain. That's called contrapositive. It has the same meaning as they both are equal. And the other one is a converse. If these two sentences are not equal. If it is raining, then the ground is wet. And the converse is it is raining only if the ground is wet. So they are not equivalent, and that's why they are known as converse. This is arrow going from left to right, and this is going from right to left. Left to right again, and right to left. So rain implies wet, and the converse is wet implies the rain. Converse is false, as the ground may be wet even when it's not raining. So this is not true, but rain will always cause the ground to be wet. But the converse is not really true. And then there is in logic we have the if and only if operator, IFF for short. In what A IFF B means is A if and only if B means if A implies B and B implies A. So basically, for example, would be x by x equal to 1, x divided by x is always 1 if and only if x is not equal to 0 in mathematics example. Okay. So what is causality? Causality means one is a cause and something is effect. So the big debate in physics that is it really cause and effect, or things just happen and they are correlated. So but in logic we have cause and effect. It is raining, so the ground is wet. So the rain is causing the road to be wet. The road is wet because it is raining. In fact, the because reveals that the cause, the cause. Rain is the cause of the road being wet. And you can put an arrow to explain like that. But one thing we should be careful is that if two things happen together, it doesn't mean that one is the cause and one is the effect. For example, in this case we see everybody who went to the moon had eaten chicken. Doesn't mean chicken sends you to the moon. So this is known as a fallacy. Just because two things are correlated doesn't mean there's a cause-effect relationship. Many things happen together, doesn't mean something happens. For example, when planets align, things happen, but doesn't mean that planets cause the things to happen or things cause planets to align. So if you have questions, put them in the comments. Thank you.